Hey guys, welcome back to Brass Gaming. I'm your host Christian, alongside me is the same co-host as usual,
Espen.
And oh man, another day, another cEDH deck.
Woo.
So Espen, this is gonna be something exciting. You've wanted to do this for a long time.
I wanted to do it a long time, and actually, yeah, for those that have watched some of our earlier videos, you notice that we mentioned Tasigur a lot, which Tasigur slowly transformed into this.
Yep.
And today we're going to be talking about Kess Descendant Mage, which I really like Sultai, but just something that doesn't like do a lot, but like I just really like the Grixis. I really wanted to put in a deck. So before we go any further though, I'd like to encourage the audience to like, share, subscribe, and comment this video. And we notice that a lot of people that watch our videos, they aren't necessarily subscribed. So hey, subscribing is free. Please subscribe. And if not, you can do it later. Don't worry.
Don't forget to click that little bell to get notifications of our videos.
Right, of course. So without further ado, Kess, Descendant Mage. For one generic blue, black, red, legendary creature, human wizard, and it is a 3/4. Has flying. Then during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If a card cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. So it gives one of your cards flashback during your turn, essentially. Which a lot of people, they think, oh well, that's not that good. Well, you would be surprised when you're casting a lot of important instants and sorceries in your deck, and then you can get them back with Kess. So one of the main parts of this deck is we're a control combo deck. We got a combo, of course. When you're playing control, might as well throw a combo in.
Oh, great. I wonder what combo we're talking about this time.
What do you mean? It's the best combo in Magic the Gathering after Theros came out. First off, we have my favorite card, Demonic Consultation. For a black, it is an instant, and it reads, name a card, remove the top 6 cards of your library from the game, and reveal the next card to all players. If it is the card named, put it into your hand. If not, remove that card from the game and continue revealing the top card of your library and removing it from the game until the named card appears. Sorry, there's like I got assigned, so some of the text was a little messed up. But so essentially, we're trying to deck ourselves with this card. So choose a card. What card do we name? Just like, I don't know, Forest.
Black Lotus.
Black Lotus, sure, we can go with that. And we just deck ourselves. That's the whole point of this card. Or if you really need to dig for an answer to something on the board, it's also a great way. You might end up losing, but hey, we're going all in for this.
Let's just hope it's not in your top 6.
Exactly. So first piece of the combo that goes well with this is Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. For one blue, legendary creature, Planeswalker Jace, starts at 4 loyalty, has a static ability that reads, if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. So it has a +1, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard, draw a card. Then -8, draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. So essentially, we're casting Jace, and what I usually like to do, I like to plus, and then I like to hold priority before anyone else gets a chance to respond to it, and cast Demonic Consultation to attempt to deck myself. And then I get to draw a card. There's no card, and I win. And this is a similar effect with Laboratory Maniac, which for 2 colorless and a blue, as a creature, human wizard, 2/2. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game. Same thing, except it can't draw itself. So
yeah, I
tend to like Jace, though it's 3 blue to cast, which sometimes is pretty tough. And then finally, my favorite card in this deck is Thassa's Oracle, because it is really hard to respond to this when it enters the battlefield. We gotta love it. So Thassa's Oracle, blue, creature, merfolk, wizard. It is a 1/3. When Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to 1 of them into your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. So even if they kill it, 0 is still equal to 0, so then you still win the game. So, it's a great sweet combo, and I love it. I know Christian does not like it.
Oh, I love
Okay.
Thassa's Consultation, kind of. I mean, okay, so the big thing with Thassa's Consultation is that I played it a lot. In a recent deck I built, and I think I've been burned out by it because players hate losing to it so much, and I got a lot of complaints from our play group of people that have lost to it. So it's kind of like I don't really enjoy playing as much, but it still wins you the game, and I love winning the game, so...
Yeah, it's a great combo.
Alright, so what's one thing we need to do in a deck like this? You know, we're going to get value off our spells just by recasting them, but we need to dig, because that's what we need to do. So let's start off with probably my personal favorite card. I love the Modern deck that's built around this. I like this card a lot. This card is AdNauseum. For 3 colorless, black, it's an instant. It reads, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its CMC. You may repeat this process any number of times. So, very simple. Use your life as a resource. Get a bunch of cards. And in a deck like this, your CMCs, I'm assuming, is very low. You know, you have probably a very low CMC, so you're probably going to get a lot of spells off this. And you're going to dig and go and go and go, and then... When you're finally done, you're saying, okay, I'm finished. I've lost 30 life and I got 15 cards. There you go. Why not? Secondly, another card that pretty much is great for setting up combos, Limdolls Vault. For a blue and a black, it's an instant. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. As many times as you choose, you may pay 1 life. Put those cards in the bottom of your library in any order. Then, look at the top 5 cards of your library. Then shuffle your library and put the last cards you looked at this way on top of it in any order. So essentially, for 1 life, you get to look at 5 cards. You don't like those 5 cards, pay another life. Keep doing it till you like the 5 cards. Shuffle your library, put those 5 cards in any order, and you've got yourself set up for whatever you want to do.
And it's crazy for like a life to look at 5 cards. Essentially, it's literally crazy. And a lot of my friends, they're like, Espen, how did you get this card? This card must be $10, $20, $30, and actually it's like what, $5, $8
relatively cheap
relatively cheap for cEDH, and it's just a lovely card.
Absolutely. And then finally, another old favorite of a lot of players that play black in EDH. This is Plunge into Darkness. For a colorless and a black, it's an instant, and it also has Entwine for a black, and Entwine reads, you choose both if you play the Entwine cost. So choose one. Sacrifice any number of creatures. Then you gain 3 life for each sacrificed creature. Or pay X life, then look at the top X cards of your library, put 1 of those into your hand, and remove the rest from the game. So essentially, I've seen this card obviously used to dig for an answer more than obviously sacrifice creatures. Like, sure, life gain can be okay sometimes, probably not really good in Kess because
not a whole lot
of creatures to sack. It's not really your game plan, but just being able to use your life as a resource again, and grab whatever card you need out of those cards. I mean, solid. And what is a combo control deck without the control pieces? So, oh man, I see a really bad card in here that I don't know why we even talk about it anymore. But go ahead.
So the first one that I'd like to talk about is Fierce Guardianship. It's a new one from the newer precons from Ikoria. It's for 2 generic and a blue. It has an instant called Fierce Guardianship. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. So almost a force will if your commander's out, except it only gets non-creature spells. But essentially, what this is being used for is like we get our commander out, we're going for the combo, and we're stopping anything that hurts our combo. So we're trying to counter any counter spells or anything that just might disrupt with us. And also, this could be cast from the graveyard with Kess is out. So very, very strong aspect of it. And then 5 mana counterspell. It's just always bad.
Well, I don't even know why you would talk about this anymore.
Like Force Will's just...
It's
5 mana to counter.
Just read it. I know. 3 colorless and 2 blue.
It just has counters. No. There's a 3 colorless blue for an instant. You may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Counter target spell. Really insane. Like almost a free counter spell. You pay a life, you discard a card to counter a spell for free. Sure, I'll do that any day. Where do I sign up? Like, it's just a great card. And one of these, you're probably confused why this was in here.
Yeah.
But I actually found this very useful at times. It's called Stifle. For a single blue, it is an instant counter target activated or triggered ability. You might be asking, this isn't a counter spell. Well, it controls other people's game plans. So I actually put this in here because I really hate losing to a activated Selvala. And so now we can stifle it and be like, oh, I'm going to add, 12 mana. I'll be like, I want to pay a blue. No, you're not. And then, I mean, would that feel bad? Would that feel bad if you went to tap for 12, you were out, and then you were trying to get 12 mana and they stifled?
Well, now that I know this is in here for my Selvala deck, I know who I'm going to target every single time we play with
It's
Kess
one card in
Selvala.
the 99. It's just a funny card, but no. We can also hit fetch lands, which is also really important in like mana rocks or any other crazy abilities.
Imagine going on the play, having that blue mana open, your opponent plays a... your opponent that you're really worried about plays a fetch land, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna fetch this. You're not getting anything.
I'm waiting to do that. It's gonna be mean, but it's gonna be funny. So, next part, we're gonna talk about some interesting tutor spells that we have in the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to start out, we got Gamble. For a single red, it's a sorcery. It reads, search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, discard a card at random, then shuffle your library. So, you might be thinking, oh, well, you could lose the card you tutor for. However, in this deck, I think the downside of this is pretty minimal compared to, like, most decks that would play something like this. Just because, like, instant sorceries, especially in your graveyard, don't really matter that much. Because likely, Kess is just going to recast them anyways. So, like, it's kind of okay for the most part. Like, yeah, if you lose something in like a creature or something, it could be like, but at the same time, most of the time, your deck's primarily instant sorceries. You're gonna discard instant sorcery likely, and really doesn't hurt that bad. And it gets you, it's a 1 mana tutor. I mean, even if it gets rid of what you got, it still was worth it in my opinion, just because Gamble's a sweet card.
Right.
Skimming Symmetry is another interesting tutor that's in this deck. For a single black, choose 2 target players. Each of them searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. So, likely it's always going to be yourself and another player. And I found that this card, especially in the decks I played in, is very political heavy. Is like, usually you can kind of force a deal to be made. Like, okay, I'm going to choose myself. Who wants to make the best deal? And likely when I play this, it's always the weakest player at the table or that I feel I'm going to give it to. The player that thinks going to stop me less. I'm going to bet that the card I'm searching for is going to be better than what they're searching for. So, like, I'm assuming that this is never going to target me when I'm playing Selvala.
This is true. And, like, also, generally when at least when I'm playing this deck and I cast this, I have the mindset of I am going to try to win this turn and try to, like, draw the card in my hand because, like, a lot of times your opponent's going to get the best card. Well, if you have a way of getting that best card off the top of your deck, you might as well do it. So there's another fun tutor. Really good.
And finally, a really spicy tutor for this deck, which is Wishclaw Talisman. For a 1 colorless and a black, it's an artifact. Wishclaw Talisman enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. You can pay 1, tap it, remove a wish counter from Wishclaw Talisman. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. An opponent gains control of Wishclaw Talisman. Activate this ability only during your turn. So this card's pretty nuts in the sense that I hate it because every single time you play this, everyone always gives it back to you. So you're essentially getting 2 searches off it. And no matter what I say, everyone always makes a deal with Espen to get the Wishclaw Talisman back.
Who would not want to make a deal with me? Like, look.
If I've learned anything from playing Among Us with you, is that you're always kind of sus, dude.
Oh, come on.
So we got some. I think this is your 1 mana favorites. So what kind of 1 mana spells are we working with in this deck?
So first off, I would like to start with one of my most favorites of the 1 mana spells is Mental Misstep. For a Phyrexian blue, it is an instant. Phyrexian can be paid with either a blue mana or 2 life. Counter target spell with converted mana cost 1. Now let me tell you a fun story. I was playing Commander with my friends down here. A friend to my right was going first. They're playing blue light control, and that's kind of scary to this deck. I was like, I don't want you to do anything in this game. So he goes, turn 1, he casts a Divining Top. I was like, Mental Misstep? He got upset. I was like, fine. Turn 2, so I had to island out. He goes, search for Skint. I'm like, no, you can search for cards. So I go, Spell Pierce. And it was just a fun game. I just loved Mental Misstep there. And also, I have Mystic Remora. For a single blue, it is enchantment. It has a cumulative upkeep of 1 generic mana. Whenever a target opponent successfully casts a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. That player may pay 4 generic mana to counter this effect. So generally people are not going to be casting or going to be paying for the 4, especially early game.
Yeah, not at all. No one's going to physically be able to.
Yeah.
And an early game, especially on cEDH, you have to develop your board. So likely turn 1, if you're on the play, the fish is going to get fed a little bit at least.
Oh yeah,
you're going to get a couple cards off it.
That's going to feel really good for 1 mana. And last one, I mentioned it a little bit ago, but Sensei's Divining Top for 1 generic, it's an artifact. Pay 1 mana, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. tap, draw a card, then put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its owner's library. So it's just another way to, it's like not as much digging, but also like helps you fix your draws. Maybe if you need a land, maybe if you just need to find like a counter spell, or if you need that spell on the top of your deck really, really bad, you just activate top, draw it, and then respond to anything. So
absolutely,
really, really sweet card in this deck for sure.
And so finally we have Espen's fun cards that are definitely fun for everyone at the table for sure. So we're gonna start with Manamic Betrayal. This is a sorcery that costs 1 colorless, blue, and a black. It reads, exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. You may cast those cards this turn, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast those spells. At the beginning of the next end step, if any of those cards remain exiled, return them to their owners' graveyards. Exile Manamic Betrayal. So, what's more fun? What's fun about Kess is that you have access to your graveyard, but sometimes you just want to play your opponent's stuff too. So why not cast this and take your opponent's best spells? Because why not?
Hey, it's great. I have gotten some fun stuff off that, especially late game. If a game goes late, I have like, I cast it. I have like 8 mana floating, or like 8 mana to use, and
sometimes the stuff in your opponent's graveyard can be better than what's in your own graveyard with cast. So why not cast them? This next card's pretty spicy too. It's Steal Enchantment. This is a 2 blue, and hilariously enough, this is an enchantment, which is which I love the old text of some of these cards. So what do you think Steal Enchantment does? Everyone out there, just take a crazy guess. What does Steal Enchantment does? An enchantment. Well, I'll answer, you're wrong. It gains control of an enchanted enchantment. Oh, you guessed that? Well, I guess you were right the whole time. But yeah, pretty fun. I mean, why not? Your opponent has Rhystic Study? I'll have Rhystic Study.
Smothering Tithe.
Your opponent has a Smothering Tithe? I'll have a Smothering Tithe. Why not just take the best enchantment on the board for 2 blue mana?
I like playing fun cards.
Absolutely. And finally, a really, really good, probably one of the best enchantments printed in recent memory. We have Underworld Breach. For a red and a colorless, this is an enchantment. Each non-land card in your graveyard has Escape. The Escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. And then at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Underworld Breach. So this is just, I mean, Kess is already casting cards. This is going to make them even easier, even more easier to cast. And this affects all non-land cards. So let's say, for example, with the Gamble, you actually pitch your Thassa's Oracle. Well, I'm going to cast Underworld Breach. I'm going to cast that Thassa's Oracle from my graveyard, and then I'm going to cast Consultation and just win the game.
You can even cast Consultation from your graveyard. It's just, this is like Kess, but like, it has like a little bit more cost restrictions for like exiling 3 cards, but generally we're fetching, we're casting our spells, we're drawing a lot of cards, we're discarding cards. You have a huge graveyard, and there are times where I just go mana ramp spell, and then I go just cast 5, 6, 7 spells and win the game. And I did it once where I was at like, I think I was at 5 life, and I casted this and just won the game. And fun cards.
Absolutely nuts. So guys, as you're going to see on screen now is our social medias. To follow the channel, it's at Real Brass Gaming. To follow me, it's at Hexmaster Real. And Espen, where can we follow you at?
You can follow me at ESPN_1926.
All right, guys. For the Brass Gaming Podcast, I'm Christian.
And I'm Espen.
And we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.